There are those who doubt the reality of climate change. Umberto isn't one of them. He tells me he's lived here most of his life in Gunabo on the north coast of Cuba. The town's coastal strip has been eaten away by the advancing ocean, and every time there's a storm, a little more is lost. What was once a thriving community has been consumed as the sea level rises.
The sea has moved further inland over the course of my life. Buildings like this one have been affected, and the entire coastline has changed. In the 70s, this was a school until the sea eroded its foundation and it collapsed, like you see now.
Scenes like this are becoming more evident across the world, and in part they're responsible for an increasing momentum in the effort to deal with global warming. The Roman Catholic leader, Pope Francis, who'll visit Cuba in September, has recently warned of the dangers of inaction. A papal encyclical targeted the world's wealthy. He wrote of the unprecedented destruction of the ecosystem, with serious consequences for all of us. Also in June, at the G7 summit in Germany, the concept of a carbon-free world went from fantasy to official policy, as leaders pledged to wean their economies off fossil fuels and promised that Paris will produce results.
We know that we need deep cuts of global greenhouse gas emissions and therefore have committed ourselves to the need to decarbonise the global economy in the course of this century.
Meanwhile, the use of renewable energy is soaring just as fast as its cost is plummeting. There is widespread mobilisation on the streets. Cities are listening, taking their cues from their citizens. But that's not the whole picture. We're seeing more extreme weather, and scientists say the clock is ticking. The world's nations are supposed to outline what they will individually do to reduce emissions, to keep temperatures from rising above 2 degrees over pre-industrial levels. So far, only a small proportion of countries have done so. And as the poor suffer the most, what about the promised billions of dollars the rich will provide? We still don't know how the finances are going to work. And as people in the front line like Umberto will tell you, things are more urgent than the negotiators and politicians would appear to recognise. There's much to be done between now and December in Paris if scenes like this are not to become a signpost to our future. Nick Clark, Al Jazeera, Gunabo, Cuba.